You ready? I've started recording, but we can kind of just start whatever, because obviously I can get it out. So.
Yeah, we can actually start doing an intro once we feel comfortable, but probably not too long. So,
Yeah, like a good, healthy intro to our new podcast would be good.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to spend too much time on, the whole intro part.
Well, definitely on the first episode.
Of the podcast, yeah.
Maybe episode number 2, people will get it.
Yeah. I mean, they'll get it. We'll just dive right in to our new podcast called Hot Tokes. Hi, guys. This is our new podcast, Hot Tokes, crafted with glorious intros and fresh takes on all sorts of new stuff, old stuff. We're talking about movies. We're going to talk about comics, video games. Going to be blazing. We'll have a puff break later. Don't you worry. Going to be talking about The Boys. The Boys, the new show on Amazon, which is pretty exciting. Ian and I. Oh, my name's John. I'm with Ian.
My name's Ian.
Yo. We're going to be talking about The Boys, the new Amazon Prime show based off of that comic book. Ian read some of the comic book, but we both watched the show. Definitely have a lot to talk about there. Gonna be talking about who we are, maybe? Probably not. Like a little. I can't help myself, really, but...
Just a little bit.
So, The Boys just came out on Amazon Prime a little bit ago. We watched all of it. We watched about one episode a night, which felt like it was a good pace. I definitely wanted to... It
definitely makes you want to watch more, but I feel like there's so much in each episode that I really liked just stewing on an episode every day. I felt like thinking about all the events that happened, not towards the end, so I'm kind of glad that we kind of rushed to the end, because there was a few episodes that, like episode 6, I remember, wasn't very action filled. It was very plot focused, a lot of exposition dump.
Yeah, definitely. And at about an hour an episode, it was a good kind of almost movie a night length, which was nice.
So should we explain the show The Boys in case people just for some reason haven't seen the advertisements on it, even though they're everywhere? It's number 1 watch show on Amazon Prime right now, but
so The Boys is kind of a dark Justice League. It's a very messed up take on superheroes in real life. Superheroes being very corporate. They're kind of brand. They're getting their cues on what to say on the news and in public from their corporate handlers. They're very much a brand that's being protected and generated mostly by media PR types and less by their actual actions, because they're mostly terrible.
Yeah, they're pretty... Well, mainly the 7, which we'll get into. This world is... What they established in the show is there's 200 superheroes, at least in America, as they show in a small graphic in the first episode. And I guess we get into spoilers, a little bit in the first episode.
Well, I think we're gonna just describe it. It's been a little while now. We're gonna start slow, but if you want to watch this, I think you can just understand that you have our recommendation to watch it.
Yeah, highly recommended.
Then come back to this.
If you like superhero stories, if you like kind of political, corporate corruption kind of shows, that's pretty good for that too.
Yeah, it's very dark. There's dark humor, but it's also just kind of dark. There's a lot of messed up stuff that happens, which is really fun. Yeah, so definitely watch it and then come back to this. So yeah, I think we should just not worry about spoilers at all now.
Yeah. From here on out, we'll get right into it. So I guess we got to start talking about the first episode that kind of unravels the whole show, which is there's a main protagonist, Huey Campbell, I believe is his name.
Sure. He's the kind of the straight man, but kind of the weenie. He works at a tech shop. He doesn't really stick up for himself. He's kind of a milquetoast marshmallow boy.
Yeah, and
I mean, he's like a skinny guy, but
it's
you know,
established early in the episode that he's got
doughy
like
personality.
he's got like this sweetheart that he's like known from high school, Robin, and they're in love and they're about to move in together. And right as soon as things get too good, one of the heroes,
the Flash.
Yeah.
He's called A-Train, but he's the Flash. The Seven. It's basically the dark, like this world's Justice League. This kind of evil corporate, like faux Justice League is called the Seven because there's 7 of them, and one of them is A-Train, who's the Flash, but he's kind of
super speed,
yeah,
and he just plows through this girl, his girlfriend, into mush, and the media kind of tries to spin it as like it was her fault for getting in the way, and he was like on a mission to robbing a bank.
Yeah, Huey gets covered in Huey gets covered in blood a few times during this show. It's definitely a very he has a very defined character arc, which is very satisfying because he starts out really a huge weenie, which can be hard to watch. But it's they try to pay him off to like be silent about this quote unquote accident.
They make him try to sign this like confidentiality contract that he can't talk about it. And he asks the guy to give him a while to think about it. And his dad, who's played by Simon Pegg, which I feel like we can get into that maybe after we talk about the show a little bit more. But
sure.
Yeah, his dad's played by Simon Pegg. Tells him that like he should sign it and that they need the money and that he should just get over his dead girlfriend, which is awful. That's another thing is like kind of everything everybody does is pretty awful. Besides Starlight, who I guess we can talk about now because she's the other main character of the show. She's got in the plot B of the show, if you will.
Yeah, she's kind of the middle America superhero. Where is she from? Iowa? Ohio? One of those?
In the show, yeah, she might be.
But she's kind of the quintessential Catholic girl who did all the, instead of beauty pageants, they're superhero pageants, essentially.
Yeah. And as far as like what the
Tiger Mom.
And as far as what the show shows us, she's the only actual hero out of all the heroes in this world. She's the only one that does everything for the right reason and not for, celebrity status or money. She kind of just wants to help people. And she gets into this group of 7 because she replaces the Green Lantern of the group, Lamplighter, who we never even see in the show.
Though he does get mentioned a few times. Apparently he, one of the other characters who we meet towards the end, he like burned their family alive or totally. He would just like incinerate people, I guess. So that's great.
Right.
She's kind of this very naive well, they're both very naive.
She's naive, but she's not stupid entirely. Like, she makes mistakes, but...
Yeah. But Starlight and Huey both start in a very naive place. She's coming out of kind of this kind of Christian circuit of very well-to-do people, very, like, clean, nice people, and moving into the big city to be a part of the 7 because she sent in like a video application or whatever and got accepted to be the new member of the 7. And Huey is also kind of this, just he's a nerdy tech guy, but he doesn't like do a whole lot or push himself or put himself out there, so he doesn't really know about a lot about the world. And they both just get thrown right into the fire in the show, where Starlight becoming a member of the 7 and the mask is totally pulled away from them because everybody outside of this corporation thinks that the 7 are these heroes. They have a very good PR team, and they're kind of keeping up the illusion that they are these great, wonderful heroes. They're on TV all the time. There's billboards and ads for them all everywhere. They have comics and kids books and everything. People grow up like thinking of them as a hero. Huey, the main character, is a fan of the 7.
Well,
was until they liquefied his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But he has A-Train's action figure. The guy who kills his girlfriend, he has the action figure.
It's like a really rare limited set one or something from Comic-Con or whatever. But yeah, so after Huey's girlfriend gets melted, by Super Speed Guy. He gets introduced to this guy called Billy Butcher, who's played by Carl Urban, and honestly, like, probably one of the best parts of the show. He kind of chews up every scene he's in.
He has a great energy, and his role in the show is to kind of bulldoze everybody else into doing what he wants, which it's kind of frustrating sometimes, but especially knowing what happens in the end, which is that he doesn't necessarily know exactly what's going on. He has this revenge tale. He's trying to enact revenge on Homelander, who's kind of the dark Superman, for what he thinks he did to his wife, but it turns out the story's totally different. And so the fact that he's been such a jerk kind of sucks even more in hindsight. But also, I think his accent is just a little goofy. He has this very, was it blimey accent?
Yeah, I mean, cutting...
Was that English?
Cockney.
Yeah, he's a very kind of cockneyed, like,
he does
thing, and it's a little too much sometimes. And some of the dialogue in general is a little, like, cartoonish, but it's fine for the most part. In
the comic book, they literally say that he sounds like a rugged Michael Caine, which is what he sounds exactly like a rugged Michael Caine. So
he does sound like what he was meant to sound like. And I just, at times, I find it to be a little cartoony and over the top, but I understand that that's also just the accent. So yeah, I just think it's kind of a silly one.
Yeah, getting into the show's titled The Boys, and it's because the main team, Huey and Billy Butcher, they're all part of this team called The Boys, which is Huey's old
His boys. Yeah,
in the show they're like freelancing, investigating, like vigilantes to superhero group. It's a little more explained in the comics, but I guess that's what they are. They're like,
basically, they have a past with Billy Butcher. They'd worked jobs with him before. They've kind of gone their separate ways, and they have their problems. They have baggage. You know, they have problems with each other from whatever happened in the past. But Billy's first task is kind of to get the boys back together to go after Homelander. And Homelander, by the way, just while we're mentioning him, is also incredible part of the show. He has a really messed up psyche just from being like raised in a lab, but he puts on this amazing front for the camera, but we get to see him behind the camera for most of the show, where it's just really clear the power he has over people because of his abject invulnerability and crazy amount of power. Like, nobody can do anything to him, so he can control a room very easily. You know, he can just threaten the other heroes even into doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, he does like lots of Italian mobster movie style, like gentle, gracefully, like placing hands on the shoulders, but like, you know, that he can just crush the guy's shoulder with like,
I'm just gonna put my hand on your neck, just so you know that I could. Yeah.
yeah. Anthony Starr, he definitely took control of every scene he was in, which made, like, in my opinion, the last scene of episode 8, when Carl Urban and Anthony Starr's characters are in a room together, like, really captivating. Like, you see these two people who have like such strong personalities, and it just kind of, a lot of tension in the room.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that either. Billy Butcher and Homelander kind of have this mirror image where they're both this, you know, they're an unstoppable force and an immovable object in that same way, which is kind of interesting.
So yeah, 8 episodes. It's like a pretty easy watch. What are some other things we can talk about in the middle of the show? Like,
there's Frenchie and the female.
And Mother's Milk.
Those
are the other boys.
There's the boys and the female. Yeah. The female is a is she Vietnamese?
Vietnamese, or I think she might be Chinese. I can't remember. But
she doesn't speak.
She's South Asian,
and she's separated from kind of her she was raised to be a super soldier. She gets experimented on. They give her Compound V, which is kind of this super drug that also is what they use to create the superheroes in the first place. There's so much to it. There's so many great details, and just all these little, what the company does, the corporation that's kind of controlling the superheroes, and the CEO of that, and all their little machinations, but also the way the superheroes kind of end up being independent of that. Like Homelander is kind of enacting his own plans despite what the corporation says. Like, they'll feed him some lines and he'll say, no, I know better, and he can, but other people are controlled by it. But there's a lot of great dynamics there.
Yeah, there was a lot of like great moments in this show that we can't really like talk about in just 1 hour. Like there's so much so much mystery that around Compound V and who bought this company that kind of like controls these heroes, what they're all about, and the past history with Billy Butcher's character in Homelander, and even the female, like.
And I don't think we need to touch on every little detail, but I think that those are some of the real highlights. I think I like to complain, so I'm gonna just put out some of my
nothing's perfect.
Yeah, nothing's perfect. But like I said, I think Carl Urban's character, Billy Butcher, was like just a little silly sounding. It was hard to take him seriously. And some of the dialogue in general just felt really like I've seen it in other TV shows. It's like some of the dialogue with the cops, like his FBI connection, was just such a trope. But it was fine. And I will say that the Dark Aquaman had, I don't know, I could have lived without his involvement in the show. Just the Aquaman character, the Deep, is just, he's a clown, but he also sexually assaults Starlight right at the beginning. He kind of manipulates her and gets her to like suck his balls. But then for the rest of it, like immediately after, you hate him because he's sexually assaulted Starlight and he's like done this terrible thing. But then it all comes back to bite him over and over again. And he just has this terrible, terrible streak of misfortunes and just getting shit on. And he gets like basically cut out of the Seven and sent away. And you kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, you hate him for what he did. And it was, I don't know, it was just a little strange. And there's one very comical moment with him that felt out of place where he steals a dolphin, tries to set a dolphin free, and it was just like a little ridiculous. And I don't know, maybe people like it because it's ridiculous enough to be funny, but it felt, I don't know, I didn't need him too much.
For me, like, I think the only main complaints I had with the show was mainly it's a bit of its production at certain moments. Like, I would say like 85% of the show feels like it was really well produced, and there was a lot of great set pieces, a lot of great CGI, good action. But then there were certain moments, particularly like in some of the apartment scenes or in some of the scenes where they're like in that typical warehouse that you'd see in a CW show. Like the lighting just seemed really cheap and superficial. A little bit of shaky cam action going on at certain moments, but it's very few in between.
There were also some very coincidental things and things that were just a little too convenient. Mostly the way Huey and Starlight meet is they sit on the same park bench. I mean, okay, whatever. They have to randomly meet somehow, but it was just a little too raw coincidence for me. But then Starlight, and kind of a lot of the Seven, but Starlight especially, seems to have this massive freedom, even though she just became a member of the Seven and is this corporate asset, and you'd think they'd be all over her, protecting her, and like her life would be very scheduled and things, but she seems to be free to do whatever she wants most of the time, and she's meeting up with Huey, going to the bar and stuff.
They do.
But it just seems a little weird that and when they're at that the like Christian Expo convention thing and they are able to just go meet after she has the big speech, it just seems like she would have more people around her more often. And like, I get they need to be able to meet and talk and whatever, but it just felt convenient a lot of the time.
I mean, they do, as for half of those moments, they do establish that like she's one of the only people of the 7 that have a secret identity, so they can like live their own lives for a bit. There's a scene where Homelander says that he gave up his a long time ago. So, and the scenes where she's just being Annie January and not Starlight, it makes a little more sense. But there are a few scenes where she's in full costume at events for the superheroes, and you would think that she would have an eye watching. Even when there was that one scene when the Wonder Woman character, Queen Maeve, is like talking to an ex-lover at an event, and there is a scene where they like are recording the whole time because they haven't left her alone. So it is a little weird and coincidental that they did get some alone time. At the same time, I'm only to throw away a little bit of that out the reality window.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't bother me as much as, like I was saying, those warehouse scenes with the cameras are really weird. Another thing that bothered me was there's just a few, like, I guess this is also where you're probably talking about where some of the lines, but there's just a few moments when things just kind of like added up too smoothly.
Yeah, dominoes fell very quickly.
Yeah.
In some instances, it was very boom, boom, boom. What, like, do you have any specific instances you're thinking about, though?
I'm thinking more about, like, when, and it's, like, I think episode 1 or 2, when they have the Invisible Man guy in the cage, and Huey gives him a glass of water. It's like, what is he thinking? Like, I know he's trying to be humane, but you don't, like, give him a glass of water when he's in an electric cage with a generator exposed and everything. It's just, like, so, like stupid. Like, characters do really stupid things for almost no reason, but it's so rare. It's not like in some movies where they do stupid things all the time. Like, Huey's kind of like the dumb, naive kid. I get it, but, like, it's a little too dumb and a little too naive for me to believe it.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was talking about with Huey being, like, super naive, and it's kind of frustrating at first, is that they capture the translucent. He's an invisible man, but he's also invulnerable. His skin's impenetrable, and they have him in a cage, and he says, "Oh, I thought you might be thirsty." When he gets alone time, the other boys are off doing something, and he brings him a glass of water, like a glass, not a little paper cup or something, not something that would be more safe. But no, he gives him a glass of water, and nothing's gonna happen with the Invisible Man getting given glass. He ends up using the water to break out. I thought he was gonna do something with the glass, but
it's actually
either way,
piss. He pisses the water back.
Well, I guess he does
cup.
both. Yeah, he uses the cup to collect his urine to then short the electric cage.
A lot of Chekhov's guns in this show. A lot of like that's going to be used, and then it does.
Yeah. I think one thing that we definitely want to talk about, one particular scene, is the airplane scene.
Episode 4.
Yeah, because that like stuck with you a bunch, and it was definitely
it haunted me for the whole day next. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it definitely like it makes sense why I believe this show was trying to be adapted a long time ago, and that's obviously like Simon Pegg would be down for. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just speculating that information. It's not real.
Yeah,
but...
in the comics, Huey was designed to look like Simon Pegg. And that was kind of a little thing. And Simon Pegg's in this show, but he's Huey's dad because it's been a little while, so he probably wouldn't be Huey at this age.
In episode 4, there's this overarching plot where this company, Vought, is trying to push this bill past Congress to allow these superheroes to leave the country and enter international problems. There is a terrorist attack on airplanes flying overseas.
Airplane gets hijacked by terrorists.
Yeah.
The superheroes hear about it, and they want to get sent out to get there before the military to show that they are better than the military.
Yeah.
And
so they get they get there. They swiftly take down all the It's the Superman character Homelander, who's we've talked about is like terrifying and kind of insane, and the Queen Maeve Wonder Woman character, and they quickly take down the terrorists terrorizing the passengers of the plane, and they think that's it, and then they go to the cockpit to talk to the captain, and the co-pilot's throat's been slit, and there's still 2 terrorists in the cockpit, and they try to take him down. Homelander uses his lasers and not only kills everybody in the cockpit that wasn't already dead, but destroys the machine to fly the plane.
He destroys the plane. He breaks it. He breaks the console. He shoots his eye lasers because
instead of punching.
It's like he's a Superman. I mean, I assume he almost exclusively eye lasers people. Like, he shows that he has his strength. He can fly, and he shows that he has super strength. He does like throw a guy at one point, but he really leans on the eye lasers, and it gets him in the end in this instance because
I don't think it got him in the end. I honestly think part of him wanted to do it. I think like part of him just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna." So yeah, he destroys the plane. The plane starts skydiving, and he kind of puts on a show saying, "Don't worry, everybody, I'm gonna save you." But like he talks to Queen Maeve and says, "No, we're leaving." Like
Maeve's like, "Can we do anything? Can you go out and like lift up the plane?" And it's like,
save a couple of them.
Well, yeah, and at first they just try to say like, "Oh, can you like fly underneath it and carry it or do this or that?" And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, there's nothing for me to stand on. They kind of debunk some of these comic things we've seen in the past with like flying characters holding things up in the air.
123 passengers on this plane.
Or trying to like zoop them all down to the ground real fast. It's like they'd liquefy. You can't just like zap.
And it's just not
like,
fast
fly.
enough. Like he's not A-trained. You couldn't save 123 people. Like you probably save a couple.
Though I wonder how fast he is. It might. I mean, I know A-Train's like the fastest man in the world, quote unquote, when he's on.
I think he's fast, but
Compound V. But
I think he's like as fast as probably faster than a cheetah. Like I think he's really fast. I think his main thing is his vulnerability and his strength and his lasers and his flight. Yeah, but anyway,
his American flag cape.
So back to the awful scene. This plane is crashing and down.
Well, incredible. This very powerful.
Right.
Awful in a dark way.
So he's lying to all these people saying he's going to save them, but he actually is slowly walking away from the people. And at that moment when they get halfway and the Wonder Woman's following him, like everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're not saving us!" And like they start pleading to be saved, and it's just awful. Just
he's like, "No, like back the fuck off!"
Yeah, he starts screaming and swearing at
get
him.
away from and he like and his eye lasers glow. He kind of like shows that he's just gonna kill them if they
and inevitably like they just watch the plane fall and people jump out of the plane, and it's very like probably would not have been made.
And you can
early
see
2000s.
Well, the thing is, especially is that I mean Homelander is very screwed up in that he's doing this and he's being heartless, and like, you know, they can't save anyone because if anyone survives, they'll tell people that they screwed up and destroyed the plane and weren't able to save anyone. It'd be bad PR. That's why they can't let anyone live. But also, like, Maeve is like, she still has some heart left. She still has some emotions. And when they are walking back through all the passengers to get to the door to hop out, she's the one who's really affected by it. So we're kind of drawn and affected by it through her because it's just so tough to be like, "Oh yeah, no worries. We're going to save you," to all these people you were just like playing superhero in front of. You know, she talked to the little girl for a little bit first, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, well, I'll save your daughter," but Homelander says, "No, you can't take anyone," and she almost stays on the plane, and it really messes with her.
Yeah, and then like right in the next episode, Homelander uses this sadness across the country and spins it and saying, "Oh, but if we were there sooner, then we could have saved them all," and uses that to like rally the people.
Yeah,
to, like,
a lot of
side
fake
with
news,
him.
a lot of spinning. What happened? Yeah, Homelander takes initiative and spins the story in his favor because nobody knows that they went out to try to save them. They kind of just played off like they weren't even there.
So, what do you think's going to happen in the next season? Like, do you have any speculations on like what is going to be the next couple episodes, the events of what happened in the last couple episodes?
Well, we now know Homelander has a son and it's with Billy Butcher, Carl Urban's, I guess, ex-wife? They weren't married at that point.
They were married.
They were married, yeah. It's a very... I think Homelander is kind of going to keep Billy Butcher around because he knows that he's got nothing on him. So he's just going to be like, haha, I've got your woman. You're like ultimately cucked. I've got a child with your wife and I am invulnerable and super powerful. And there's nothing you can do about
also considering how he's done everything and he killed that infant in that room in the last episode. Yeah. And presumably the media's going to spin that he also killed Mallory. So he'll probably be like known as the Butcher, I'm gonna guess, and he'll probably be like the supervillain, like the Joker character, like this Lex Luthor of Homelander. He'll just keep him around just to like have a villain to. Yeah,
it's a little bit of like kind of a Batman versus Superman dynamic, just because it's a Superman analog versus a normal human who just has to plan, but he doesn't have all the money and tools and like superhero aesthetic.
Funny enough, in the comic book, when Huey's explaining like why does he work for in the comics, that he actually works for the CIA directly.
Yeah, because it's in the show, it's like he did work for the CIA or FBI, but he hasn't for a while. And...
Right. So he says, well, what else am I going to do? Like, get $1 billion and live in a cave? He actually like says that line.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So...
Yeah, I mean, they may be... Do you think there's other comic book characters in this universe? Or do you think all the comic books are about real superheroes? Do you think there's also fictional superheroes? Or do you know?
I think Vought would sue them, and so I don't think so. I think Vought would be like, you're plagiarizing our brand.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any like knockoff movies about, other.
Oh look, like it's Houselander.
Yeah, it's Superman.
It's B Train.
Yeah. Like it is the Justice League characters, but in that world they are a knockoff. So it's like, oh, it's Superman. It's the Flash.
Yeah,
he's the fastest man alive. He uses the Speed Force, but like it's
Wonder Woman. How original,
cheap Chinese, like yeah. Well, yeah, next season I'm not really sure, but it seems like Huey and Starlight are in kind of an understanding place. They're working together. So they're definitely going to be... It's the boys, but it seems like Billy is a little separate from the boys now. I wonder if he'll kind of be his own entity, and then it's going to be Huey, the boys and the females. You know what I mean? I wonder if Butcher will be kind of with the team or not, now that he didn't go back for them. He was still going after Homelander.
They're still all wanted, so...
Yeah. And also the CEO of the corporation, Vought, is dead.
Well, wasn't the CEO, right? Because CEO is Mr. Edgar, played by the guy who's Gus in Breaking Bad.
Oh, sure.
She's like the co-CEO, and she got
Okay. Well, she's definitely in charge of a lot.
She's in charge of a lot, yeah.
In what we see.
And she's like the vice president of the company.
There's going to be a lot of upheaval there. And also, I feel like Homelander is becoming more emboldened to just become kind of a super dictator. He's very, he gets at this kind of Catholic rally expo thing. He kind of has some very nationalist speech, and he becomes a little uncomfortably dictatorial. Yeah, I think he's gonna make a bid for power and just realize that he doesn't need to be subservient to any human being. So I think a lot of what's going to happen in the next season is probably Homelander taking over the world in some way or another. I don't know if he'd just straight up, because he can't be everywhere at once. He's got to make some sort of organization, but I don't know. I'm imagining him in the White House. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm imagining him in the White House, or imagining him like like making the 7 Tower the new world national building. Like the unified, like, this is Homelander's building.
Yeah. Homelander's house, also the world government headquarters.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I guess it just depends how fast he is. If he can just zip around every country, like, and he can just immediately show up and be like, you better be doing what I tell you, and then just zip to another country and you better be doing what I tell you.
In the comics, it's a lot more like the Justice League universe, where it's not a 7 tower, it's a 7 satellite big building. It's like a giant helicarrier satellite thing.
Oh, cool. Is it
it's in
suborbital, or is it in space?
It's suborbital.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like just above the clouds.
Okay.
So maybe he'll like get that thing built. That'd be kind of cool. God. A little unbelievable, but
yeah.
That's the thing.
We've gotten a lot of helicarriers in the Marvel universe. I wonder if they'll just kind of pass on that. But
maybe they are trying to like they have. So that's the thing is like the show. I think I've been reading a bit of the comic, but so far I'm liking the show more just because the show is more based in the realities of our world and less in the realities of a comic book world, which is the comic books.
Yeah, the comic was 2006, right? I think
it ran from like 04 to 09, I think. I can't remember. It ran for like about 5-6 years, I think. 2006
to 2012.
Yeah.
October to November. Yeah, 72 issues.
Yeah.
Wow, that's substantial.
Yeah.
I totally missed this. I hadn't heard of it until the show. So
Me either, yeah.
Yeah, give it
but
a look.
I've seen other things by Garth Ennis. The Preacher was great. I've read a bit of Preacher.
Right.
I've read a bit of this.
I watched a bit of Preacher.
Yeah, I've watched a bit of Preacher as well. I also read a lot of his Punisher run. He did Punisher for like 9 years. I read it's a very it's the Punisher where he's got the slicked back hair all the time.
Great.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like very shadowed in face looking Punisher. That Punisher run.
Cool.
Yeah, he has a very interesting style of like absurdist humor and like extreme violence, but like not necessarily violence for the sake of violence, but more violence to like really be impactful. Yeah.
This show, it was very edgy, and there were very few times where I felt like it didn't earn it. Because, sometimes things are edgy just for the sake of being edgy, or it's just like, just shock jocking it. But with this show, there was a little bit of that. Like, I personally
like the dolphin scene with
the dolphin scene, but also like the airplane scene was just like so.
Oh, I thought that was
like
very
messed
earned.
up that it like, I hadn't decided if the show was like worthy of that scene yet at that point. But like in hindsight, it was really good, and yeah. But that's just also me like not wanting to let shows affect me if they haven't earned it. You know what I mean? But cool, yeah. I think. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Anything else in the comic that's of note that you've seen so far? I know you just read the first couple.
So, it's 72 issues, but, I'm 4 issues in, and Starlight has just barely sucked up some dick. Like, that dick-sucking forced scene. So,
Right.
It's very slow-paced.
And it's worse in the comic, right? Or it's,
Yeah, it's three
of
them.
There's more dicks that get sucked.
Yeah. Because in the show, it's the Aquaman character, the Deep, who forces her. But in the comic, it's Homelander, Black Noir, which is like the Batman, and A-Train, the Flash guy.
And we were talking about this actually, like while we were watching it. Was the Deep? He tricks Starlight into giving him head. He gets her in a room alone very early, like right after she gets to the 7 Tower, and says like, "Ooh, I'm kind of a big shot around here. You better do what I say, or else like you're gonna get kicked out." And like not very soon after was it revealed that he's a clown, and like nobody could take him seriously at all. It's terrible what he did, but it also reveals Starlight to be like, naive as heck, that she, like, it sucks to say it, but like she got tricked, and there wasn't really any threat to her, and so it really showed her character to be naive, and it just, I don't know, it was like a weird thing, like knowing that he was actually such a loser and he didn't actually have power over her. Like in hindsight, it's just like, it like really sucks.
And I kind of like just I saw a different message there. I just thought I saw a message saying that anybody who would do that to somebody else is a loser, and so you shouldn't think of that kind of person as above you, because that kind of person who does that kind of thing to somebody will always be below you. And I just saw that more of a message telling other people, both men and women, to like not give in to someone who try to like make a sexual advancement against you, against your will. So, and because like, you know, he also like he becomes the running joke of the show. Like they just cut back to what he's doing, and he's always just getting shat on.
Which is almost felt like a mixed message though, because he's such a joke. It's like you almost feel bad for him, but you know he's done like a heinous thing and he hasn't paid for it yet. Part of me wanted him to have this awful time and have the world shit on him, but at the same time it just was like so sad that it was a weird dynamic with him. So I guess, I mean, earlier I said I could have done without him. Maybe he had an interesting dynamic and like what he brought to the show, and there were some really like funny moments of him just being a total like bro in front of the camera. He's filming it was either an apology video or it was a video for his like clean up the beach program.
It was a clean up the beach, the Green Crusade,
which is totally staged, of course. And you know, a girl in a bikini walks by, or some swimsuit girl who's helping walks by.
He's like, I love all beautiful things. And
or he just, he's like talking, and he's like, yeah, we're cleaning up the beach. She walks by, he's like, sup? And then he just goes back to being, so yeah, anyway, I'm just trying to do my best. I don't know, there's some great humorous moments in it. But yeah, I definitely give it a watch. It was 8 episodes, about an hour each. Totally doable. Use your Amazon Prime, or what was it?
It's Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime Video. Get your free trial and use it up for this show if you haven't used it already.
Yeah, or use your dad's or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think we're gonna take a little smoke break.
A little puff remission.
You are encouraged to join out there in the world. We've got our bowls
where
packed
it's legal,
and ready.
I guess.
Yeah. If it's legal, or you know, you can use other herbs.
Don't break the law, kids.
You can smoke things like mugwort and lemon balm, sage,
tobacco if you're 18.
Catnip. You can smoke that, I guess. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna get to it. See you guys in a bit.
Yeah.
Word. I guess I'll move on too. So far, so good though. I feel like
one thing I did want to say about the comic itself is, I think I kind of already did though, which is I'm liking the show more than the comic so far, because it's not really like getting to the juicy stuff yet. I'm like 4 issues in and nothing's really happened. I think there's been the Robin death scene, which is probably the only superhero thing I've seen so far. You know, like superheroes and stuff. There's been a lot of them standing there. First scene I've ever she takes So, John, you been playing any games lately?
And we're back. Ooh, yeah. I've been back on the Skyrim train a little bit, and we both kind of have
Yeah.
on the Nintendo Switch for me, just doing a complete story run and just trying to go through the DLC because I've actually never fully completed all the story stuff. I have a save on my 360 that has a ton of hours, but I just get distracted by everything. I'm just doing, it's kind of a do everything character. And then I played it on PC for a while, but I was mostly like screwing around with mods. So this is I'm actually gonna beat Skyrim and play the 2 DLC once and for all, since I bought it 3 times. That's mostly it. Keeping up with Smash. The new characters have come out, but I didn't pick them up yet. I might just wait and get all the DLC characters once they're all out or something. But none of them have been characters that I really care about personally. I'm not. I like a lot of anime, but I don't like a lot of JRPGs and more like Japanese style video games that these kind of games are. And yeah, so I'm thinking about picking those up, but I've mostly just been keeping the core game going because there's so much to it. I haven't beat the story mode, even though I have my main story save is over 24 hours anyway. And I love just keeping my Link sharp and my D and Pikachu, and been working on my Incineroar because he's fun, but he can be tricky. His recovery's not the best. I should probably close that window, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so mostly some of the old standbys. Skyrim and Smash. How about you?
Yeah. Skyrim all the time. Probably favorite game next to Diablo 2. And I can't play Diablo 2 right now, so I'll always be playing Skyrim. I know it's kind of unpopular opinion to think Skyrim's the best, but I think Skyrim is the best just because of how buggy and exploity it is. You can kind of if once you understand how the mechanics of the game work, you can have different games every time you play that game every time. But lately I've been just not doing exploits and just doing Dawnguard DLC, Vampire Hunter, and it's been fun too.
I like a lot of arcade style games. I like fighters. I like racing games, first person shooters, Halo, Burnout are some of my big ones. Smash, of course. But what I like in Skyrim is just being able to have a different style of combat. I love just having first person melee in a fairly functional way. And also getting to do magic, first person spell casting and stuff. And I'm not super experienced with the other games. I've seen a lot of videos on them and stuff. I've never really played them myself, but I'm sure they're fun as well. But I'm happy to play the most recent one just to get my fix of swinging a big sword at bandits and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Skyrim's fun.
For the casual RPG player like me, it's definitely totally good. Worth buying 3 times, I guess.
Worth buying 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, I've been playing that. I'm also playing a bit of Apex from time to time with some coworkers.
Every so often, just a touch of Apex.
It's a fun game. Like I've never been like when the Battle Royale phase came, I was like interested, but I never wanted to play any of them because they kind of looked like ass or like their gameplay seemed kind of boring. I tried Fortnite out, but Fortnite's like a little too sweaty and too much kid culture-y.
It's in the mainstream.
It's not mainstream. It's just like it's in the kids culture.
Well, yeah,
the it's
kid
like
stream, but it's like
stream.
Anywhere there's Minecraft merch, there's also Fortnite merch.
Yeah,
it's like that. It's at that level.
But because Minecraft is not like an MMO, it doesn't matter as much for me because I'll play Minecraft.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying in terms of like how far it's culturally pervasive. Like how
yes. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You go to a GameStop, it's either Fortnite stuff or Minecraft stuff.
Yeah.
But I really like Apex. Like the gameplay's super tight. It like feels like a well-made first-person shooter combat mixed with that battle royale game type, which I really enjoy. And it's kind of got that Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege kind of League of Legends champion style thing where each person's got their own unique abilities and only one of those legendary dudes per team, which is kind of fun. I've always liked that kind of style of a game where I'm going to play somebody who has different abilities than the other person, and therefore I'm fitting a different part of a team mechanic, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Not really my genre. I don't really do the battle royale stuff because for me it's a lot of running around to pick stuff up and then dying. But I also just don't do a whole lot of multiplayer, in part because I very rarely had reliable internet to do it, just being from where we're from, and just having family that didn't really prioritize that growing up and stuff. It takes a very long time to get anywhere you're going, but it looks like a very good game, and it does look like it plays well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just more of a casual gamer. I like to screw around. I like single player games more because sometimes I like to turn Halo on easy and just like breeze through. Or when I play Grand Theft Auto, a lot of the time I'll just steal a car and drive around and try to get as many stars as I can and just like post up, have a gunfight. Like I'm not really trying to progress or like have any stakes or things I have to do. Just kind of screw around and
Another game I've also
shoot off guns.
Another game I've also been playing that I know you and I both play is Binding of Isaac, mainly on the Switch.
Very good game, Binding of Isaac. Very edgy, also.
Yeah.
Very like internet Newground. Like it came from like Newgrounds, right? Originally, I think. Or it was one of those, right? Or just is the creator big? Maybe I'm just crossing.
I don't remember. Like I might be crossing my memories too.
Dan Paladin and Alien Hominid and stuff, but
it's made by the
feels
same
like
guy.
It would be.
It's made by the same guy who made Super Meat Boy.
Right.
Who also co-made Alien Hominid and Castle Crashers, I believe, like Dan Paladin and all them. I might be misremembering those two, but like they are part of the same Newgrounds family, the guy who made it. But it's gone through so many iterations because it started as Binding of Isaac, which was like Flash made, and then they made like DLCs like Wrath of the Lamb and another one I can't remember, and then that finally got like a Steam release with like the new pixelated graphics, which was called Afterbirth or Rebirth. Sorry.
Yeah, Rebirth, and then it's Afterbirth,
and then
Plus,
and then it's Afterbirth,
then
Afterbirth Plus.
It's a super fun roguelike, very deep. There's tons of items, and you get like all these crazy different combinations of powers and abilities, and
it's
pros
original.
And cons,
it's original Zelda dungeon style combat,
but like a little shoot 'em up-y. Like it's very like projectile heavy. Your weapons are your tiers, and you just shoot them out as little like balls, and they get upgraded and everything. There's a bunch of different characters that have different abilities, but yeah, like I think you've played it more than I have, but we both sunk many hours in this game.
I've been trying to like grind my way to getting the Keeper, which is like a secret character in the game that you can only play by like putting a lot of points into the like a game type. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, there's a whole big checklist of stuff.
Oh my god.
That's why this game lasts so long, because
that's why
every character has a checklist of things to do that can take a very long time and also require luck, and some of them are just very difficult, and like all these different bosses you have to beat with different characters, different kinds of runs where you make different choices to go either to like heaven or hell, and it's a whole thing. But very, very fun game if you like. You know, it is kind of a little more arcadey, which I like. It's was it 16-bit or whatever. It was a Flash game. It's very
it's made to look
pixelated.
It's made to look kind of like a 32-bit kind of style.
32,
game.
Yeah, that sounds more right.
Yeah,
I have Rebirth on my Vita because somebody has to have a PS Vita, and I played that for a while, which was fun. But once I got it on the Switch, I haven't touched that one since. The Switch has kind of replaced my Vita in a lot of ways because
it's a good console.
Yeah.
Just too bad. Like, have your Joy-Con started to like wear a little bit?
I feel that, and like I'm wary of it because it feels like they will. But that's why I bought other controllers. That's why I try to use this like my Pro controller.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get
as often as I
Joy-Con
can,
soon.
and I got that GameCube. Like controller.
You've noticed
Smash.
my left stick thing drifting a bit, right? So there's that problem, but now there's a new one, which sucks for Binding of Isaac. My left bumper sometimes doesn't work.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. It's when I press it like
those things are expensive, man. It's $80 for 2 Joy-Cons.
It's like crazy.
I get they have a lot of functionality, but Nintendo, like, help me out here. I'm trying to get Joy-Cons here.
Please give me like Joy-Con minus or whatever. Like, give me like Joy-Cons that just don't have like the motion rumble or like the motion sensor. Like,
we like. Do you ever use that? Like, I don't ever use motion stuff with the Switch. I almost always have.
Well, we don't have any games that like focus.
Well,
on
exactly. Like, there should be Joy-Cons that are Joy-Con lights. I mean, I guess they're putting out the new mini Switch, whatever it is, Switch Lite.
Yeah, but it doesn't have Joy-Cons.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a cheaper version in general. But I wonder if that one will just wear out too. I wonder if it'll have the same issue.
Did you hear that they released the new prints of Switches are actually like this, like a Switch 1.2, basically like a 1.25. Like they're better working Switches. They're like I thought you said prince of Switches, like king of Switches. No, I don't know. I didn't know how to like phrase
Jack
it.
of Switches.
Like, the new batches of Switches they make
I hear
are better.
It's like a hardware update.
Yeah,
but
hardware
they're just like, they're
them.
still just Switches.
They don't. They didn't call it like Switch 1.01. They called it like Switch 1A. Or Switch 1B or whatever, or AAB.
It's the new Nintendo Switch.
They're not calling it anything. Yeah,
DSXLILR.
No, it's just if you buy another Switch that's like made new, a new batch of Switches at GameStop will have a longer battery life, and they don't have as many. They like slightly better processors, I think, too.
Oh god, I wonder if they play some of those ports better that aren't as good, like Doom.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder if it runs any games.
Maybe it's try to push to say like Doom 3 is going to run really well, or Doom 4, or Doom 2, Doom 2. Eternal, Doom Eternal.
Well, yeah, because Doom 3 is on the Switch now, but it
Doom
has
Eternal,
also been around for a while.
Doom Eternal, aka Doom 5, unless you count Doom 64 as a game, then Doom 6. Like whatever, the whole series is like chronologically a mess for numbering it because they fucked it up so bad, but yeah, like Xbox One. God, like, what are they gonna call the next Xbox? Do you know? Do you have an idea? They can
like Xbox 2. No,
Xbox.
And they're just gonna call it Xbox.
No, call it Xbox Zero.
I don't know. I still want my Xbox 720. Can we get that now? I was really hoping for.
Oh no, wait, no, dude.
Xbox 1080.
Call it the Xbox Zero X, and then have an update just called the Xbox Zero S. And then you're like, no, like, what are you doing? Yeah,
but hopefully, I mean, there's some talk about video game consoles just getting all merged together. They're going to be more modular, and
well, yeah, that's what
there's going to be Microsoft streaming on Switch, and Microsoft and Nintendo are going to team up, and Sony is this and that. So
yeah, you know what?
I'm kind of hoping that'll happen, where it's more just Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo are kind of apps, you can just.
What would be genius is if they like just work together, because their cons are the others' pros. Microsoft's always got the great hardware.
Joy Pros.
No, hear me out here. Microsoft Xbox has great hardware, right? They've got big teams making beautiful looking games. Switch has awesome games and like cool concepts for things to do with those consoles. But they like their hardware's always not so good. Microsoft games don't really have like a face. They had Master Chief, but like nobody really cares about Halo anymore.
Yeah. Also, but Nintendo kind of is just like that. That's kind of their philosophy. They don't really care about it as much. It's not like they're not as good at it. It's that they just like aren't trying to go crazy far in that direction.
But with their powers combined, I'm just saying, it could be. I could see like a cool Microsoft Nintendo hybrid console that just like had Xbox cross Nintendo.
I'm just imagining like Halo, but it looks like Marvel Superhero Squad. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm just imagining like Nintendoized.
No, don't
like
stop.
Halo.
Don't think about Nintendoized Halo.
Don't stop.
The games can look like their original selves. I'm just saying, like, have a console that could have all the Xbox games.
I've been wanting portable Halo for so long. I love portable games. I've had so many portable consoles. I had most of the Game Boy iterations, DS, 2DS, not a 3DS, but a 2DS. But I also had PSP, Vita. I've always loved gaming on the go. I've got the Switch. I've just loved having it in the palm of my hands. And I've always loved Halo, and I like shooters in general, and there's just a dearth of good shooters on handhelds. It's so frustrating. Like, I got Borderlands 2 on Vita, which just was not playable. It was clunky and bad, and I played as the sniper, and his ability is he goes invisible and makes like a hologram of himself. But when he did that, everybody else would also go invisible, so I couldn't like capitalize on what I was doing, and it was like a glitch because I played him on 360, and I know that's not how it works. There's also Killzone Mercenary on there, which I have, which is a pretty decent shooter, but it's a little. I haven't gotten that far through it because the first couple levels were just like all the same enemy, you know what I mean? It just felt very procedural. It wasn't that's why Halo is so great, is because you're like, I'm in a story, I'm in a world also, as I'm shooting lots of things and playing this fun action game. But with that Killzone game, it was a little bit like, oh, I'm in a designed space, and this is a video game, and I am taking out all of these same people things. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And then Switch just doesn't really have... I mean, it's got Doom, but it doesn't really run that well, and it's got Wolfenstein, which I guess I need to check out, but I've also been trying to play through that game, the first game, The New Order. Not the first one, but the first new one. And I got through the first little bit of that and haven't gotten back to it. It's 4 discs on the Xbox 360, which is crazy. Wolfenstein The New Order, I bought it physically because it was just, I was at GameStop, and it was, buy 4 used 360 games for $20 or whatever. And so I got Wolfenstein, and it was 4 discs. I haven't had a 4-disc game since I was young, and the PS1 I had Final Fantasy 8 and 9, which were both 4-disc games.
I'm gonna sound really old here.
It was actually like really nostalgic when I opened it up. I was like, oh man. I mean, of course, PC games I've had it more, but
I'm gonna sound really old here. Like, I never had a 4-disc game, but I did have a 9 floppy disk game.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh.
I had The Dark Half, which was based on a movie based on a Stephen King book. It was kind of like a point and click, like
kind of like
noir-esque mystery.
What's that one that Game Grumps played that's kind of like King Arthur?
King's Quest.
King's Quest, yeah.
There's a little King's Quest.
Like, is it kind of like that? Do you see the character on the screen, or is it
it's more like still image?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they sometimes... A game I had that was like King's Quest, which was amazing, was a 3-disc game I had, which was on PC. Indiana Jones and the Legend of Atlantis, I think it was called.
Great.
It was awesome. It's like King's Quest, but Indiana Jones.
My King's Quest game growing up was Toonstruck. I got it on PC. I don't know how, when, or where I got it. It's one of those things I've just kind of always had. And it's got this weird little purple cartoon character and Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd, the human being, is like the main character. There's like, what is it called when there's real life videos in a game, like OVAs or whatever it is?
Yeah.
There's that. And Christopher Lloyd is this cartoonist, makes this character the purple thing. And one thing leads to another. He ends up in his cartoon world, and it's this whole adventure. And I played a lot of that, but it was a lot of like those games. It's like, what's the one thing I need, and where's the one place I need to take it? You know, it's just a lot of figuring out what the hell you have to, like, what item you need for this place, and how do I get it, and who do I talk. It's all just like, you have to check everything, and then check again, and then check everything.
I just looked up the game's called Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and it was a game I had, but I remember it broke, and it's $180 on eBay. Like, I had that game was awesome. Like,
man, you should have taken care of it. Oh man,
look, listen, I didn't necessarily have the cases to a lot of the games I had growing up, because it was just like whatever my dad kept around, and he's like, "Oh, here, have
yeah."
So.
But Toonstruck, also definitely look it up. Even just look it up on YouTube, just so you can see Toonstruck, because if it's just funny to see Christopher Lloyd in a game. You know, it's just him. You know, they just took video of him and put it in there, but he's in this cartoon world. Well,
that was a lot of talking about video games.
A lot of hot tokes, bro.
There was a lot of hot tokes.
Well, we're gonna post this at some point, and it'll be the first episode, and then we'll do another one, and it'll be up in about a week, and then you guys can listen to that one. And I think, did we want to start a little movie club thing? Did we want to watch anything?
Yeah, we were thinking about, like, you know, we can suggest to each other maybe a movie that we haven't seen in a while, or one that we haven't seen at all, or maybe one of us hadn't seen, or whatever. Maybe you guys
or watch anything. Give
us suggestions. Like, we're totally down to watch something new, especially if it's fun or funny to laugh at, like a really terrible, it's good kind of thing. So yeah, I think what should we watch for the next one? Ooh. We could either watch something old or something coming out, but I don't think there's anything coming out that we haven't seen already. We did just see the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood not too long ago.
That is true. That is true. Well, yeah, maybe next time we'll revisit Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then we'll plan and we'll pick something real. Or we'll pick something that the folks at home can check out. Well, maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's out on home video, and you can rewatch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We saw it in theaters recently, and definitely actually have some opinions on it.
I mean, it could even still be in theaters. Who knows?
It might still be right now. That's true. I'm John.
I'm Ian.
Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye.